Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Cruising after our lengthy holiday break. Thank you for bearing with us. And before we get into today's interview, I just want to share that our book, The Lesbian Bar Chronicles, is now available for pre order anywhere books are sold and also at our website, cruisingpod.com/book. You might already know all about this if you follow us on social media at cruisingpod. And you also probably know about my friend, Diane.
I was 77 when I realized I was lesbian. On my 18th birthday, I joined the convent. I was there for 6 years. Then I married a man.
I met Diane back in October on an Olivia resort trip to Punta Cana. At 79 years old, Diane had only just realized she was a lesbian 2 years before, and she spoke about this at a meeting for late-in-life lesbians. In just sharing a little piece of her story, there was truly not a dry eye in the room. And so a few days later, Diane agreed to make a video with me. This was a short interview by the pool. And this would later amount to over 5 million views on our social media channels, with thousands and thousands of comments praising Diane, complimenting her youthful spirit, and welcoming her into the community. In 5 years of posting, we've literally never had content get such an enthusiastically positive response. And so, since so many of you seem interested in Diane and her story, we bring to you today a full sit-down interview with the viral legend herself.
I think it all goes back to my family of origin. That's where it started. And that's where I shut down. Um, I wasn't interested in relationships. I wasn't interested in intimacy because of my family of origin experience. My brother died when I was 9, and our family started moving around. My father had been an alcoholic. He was sober, but then he started drinking. We started moving around the country.
How did your brother die? How old was he?
He was 13. He was the oldest boy. There I had 4 brothers, 2 older, 2 younger. He was the star. Everybody loved Ricky. And a year before he died, he had been riding his bike home to see my younger brother at noon from school, and he was hit by a car and had a concussion. And after that, he started having seizures. And so dad would wake up in the middle of the night and help him with the seizure. Well, this particular night, dad didn't hear him. And so in March of 56, he died. My 3 brothers were in the room with him, and they had nightmares the rest of their life. It was a chaotic time. Our family didn't know how to deal with grief, so we just moved. Kept moving. So we moved out to California, and dad was an electrician, and he was asked to come into the convent and fix some electrical stuff there at the Catholic school we were going to. And I remember walking into the convent. It was a sunny day, and I walked in, and the sun was shining through the stained glass windows on the stairwell, and I instantly felt safe. I had never felt safe before because of what my father did to me when I was growing up. It started when I was very, very young, and then it stopped for a couple of years when he sobered up, and then it started up again. Mhm. And he had that kind of a mind. He had a pedophile mind. Even years later, he was very inappropriate with his words, even as an adult.
Did you confront him as an adult in that, or you're just saying you had like these negative experiences with
So
him?
what happened was I went into treatment for alcoholism, and a month later, he came into the same treatment center. And I had my mom come over, and I told her about the high school things I remembered. I remembered from high school. I didn't remember the young child things until years later, but I told her about what happened 8th grade on through high school. And she fell apart, so I ended up taking care of her. And, then at that point, the, counselors didn't know how to deal with that sexual abuse of children. I don't think they knew how to deal with it, and so they told my brothers that my dad was inappropriate with me, but they shouldn't talk to me and ask questions, that, he would just use that as a red herring, so don't even talk about it. And I found out later that my brothers hated me because they said I lied about their dad, so they didn't believe me.
You and your dad at this time are both in this treatment center getting treated for alcoholism?
Yes,
Wow, that is so intense.
it was.
The center, like, discloses all of this to your family without your consent even?
Yeah, we had family week, and they brought me into the family week. I ended up going into the psych unit during that time. It was so intense. It was
Yeah,
so
of
awful.
course. What's your relationship like with your brothers in later years?
2 of them have died. They are the ones that they didn't want much to do with me. And then my youngest brother, we were the ones left to help take care of my parents, and so we're, in contact.
Positive contact?
Yes, positive contact. At one point, after I told him what happened, he said, "I don't know how you could have forgiven him." He hated my dad too. I don't know if dad did things to my brothers.
I mean, I'm sure that a person like that is not being a good parent in lots of ways.
He would beat us with the belt. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Diane. I'm so glad that your life is turning around the way that it is. It's so difficult that it's taken this long for you to be, like, fully actualized. It's so much later in life than you deserve.
Yeah. I've done a lot of healing, a lot of therapy.
I feel like a lot of people something that I experienced and a lot of people that I talk to, they experience, like, sort of attractions and interests where they later look back and realize, "Oh, that was my sexuality poking through this sort of, like, obsession with a female celebrity or, like, my female teachers or infatuation with a friend that was a girl," and kind of there were all these hints the whole time that eventually come to a head, and I'm curious if, looking back, you can identify any of that in yourself or if none of that existed for you at all, which obviously happens. It's
Mhm.
not a universal experience.
I had none of that. I was totally shut down. From age 10, I decided I was going to become a nun. I would be safe. I remember the moment I decided that. And so then there was no longer in my life any thinking about relationships. I didn't date in high school. I was going to become a nun. There was no desire. I was an oddball. I know teenagers are supposed to have all these hormones. I didn't. Then I applied at the convent, and I got in. I had to take psychological tests and stuff, and I got in. There was also a college affiliated with the convent, so I went on my 18th birthday, and I loved it. I felt safe there, and then it didn't work out. I got depressed. I got very depressed, and I know people have said in response to the video, some people have said, how could she not know?" And you know why people go to the convent, because they're lesbians. There's lesbians there. Not that I had gaydar going, because I was, like I said, totally shut down. But in the 90s, I realized that I went there to be safe from men. That was my awakening. That's what I understood about why I went.
Were things good at the convent for a period of time for
Yes,
you?
I liked it, I loved it, I liked school. I was the first one that they let go into social work. Either you had to be a nurse or a teacher or domestic. Domestic was, cook and clean and stuff. Well, we did plenty of cleaning. I got arthritis in my knees from cleaning. Anyway, so I liked it, and I started an activity room for the older nuns who didn't have much to do, so got activities going for them. That was fun, and I was a driver because we lived 7 miles out of town, and I would drive, older nuns to appointments, and I liked the camaraderie, the community, the praying together, the, mission. We had a mission in life, felt useful, and then I got depressed, and so I just thought I shouldn't be there any longer because you don't want a depressed nun.
Do you feel like it was directly related to alcoholism that you got depressed, or were you depressed and then you discovered the communion wine?
Do you know, that's an interesting thought. I never drank the communion wine, but I had my first drink in the convent.
I think I in my head, I know this story, and I think in my head, it was communion wine that everyone was drinking all the time,
No,
which
no,
obviously makes
no.
no sense.
This was my first, I was 19 and we were in the I was in the convent and I was depressed. I always got depressed around Christmas. And we're walking down the hall after church, after Vespers, into the dining room for dinner, Christmas Eve. And, oh my gosh, we walked in and the room had been transformed. It was decorated and there was a little glass of wine at every serving, at every plate, and I was waiting on tables. And so when we were done, serving and we ate and then we were cleaning up afterwards, well, some of the nuns didn't drink the wine. So, well, you can't pour the wine back into the wine bottle. So I wasn't the only one that drank the extra wine, but I got high that night. I remember this was 65. I remember the numbness in my lips and I felt like I was floating and I was funny. I had been so depressed and here I was being funny and they were laughing. So it changed me. Alcohol changed me. I got high the first time. And so a lot of times people don't know what to give nuns, so they give them wine, bottles of wine, and there's lots of feast days. There's lots of feast days in Catholic Church. And so we'd have wine at the feast days, and I made sure I waited on tables when there was a feast day, and I'd drink the extra wine. I never got into the communion wine. I have tasted it. I don't it doesn't taste as good as the wine you drink at dinner. So that was, I think part of the, complication in being in the convent was I think my alcoholism started there.
What happened with your alcoholism over those 5 years? Did you end up needing to, like, find other ways to get the wine outside of these feast days, or it was sort of limited to that, but you felt this dependence on it still?
You know, I didn't look at it as dependence, I just thought of it as fun. It felt good.
Many in their early 20s think about it like that, right?
Mhm. As I look back at it, I was, I don't know that I was dependent on it, but I was, caught into it, wanted it.
And so, how did you actually end up leaving? Like, was there some sort of circumstance that pushed you to that?
No, I was graduating from college, I was getting my BA, and, this was in 60s, 4. There was a number of people that were leaving the convent in the 60s, and they were very kind to me. They, let me go into town and buy an outfit and let me go into town and get my hair done, and I did wear the actual habit. I should show you a picture, huh? Um, and then 3 nuns went with me to take me when I left. They gave me $100 when I left, and I had a job in, a state hospital as a recreational therapist. That was my first job out of the convent, and I lived there and that for the summer, and then I moved to the State Hospital of North Dakota and worked there as a social worker. It was smooth leaving. I was sad, and I had friends there, but nobody was against it. Nobody tried to shame me. They were very supportive. It was a loving community. It was. It just wasn't right for me.
But I'm glad you got to still have sort of like a soft landing out of your childhood home. Like, you're a teenager, you're gonna discover alcohol. At least do it in the convent. I feel like it kind of did serve you well, even though it wasn't ultimately right for you.
Yeah, you're right. I like that.
In the grand scheme of things, you sober up pretty fast. Like, what did those
Yeah.
few years look like in regards to your alcoholism?
Here I was, a social worker at a state hospital. My brother supplied me for a year with marijuana. He grew marijuana. He supplied me with that for a year. Then I thought, I'm becoming dependent. I need to not use this as a social worker. My God. Um, but I had friends, and we would have parties, and I would drink, and I get drunk. So the thing with me and alcoholism is I couldn't stop once I started. Once I started drinking, I couldn't stop. I would do everything to get more, and there were times I should have gotten DUIs, I didn't ever, but I should have. There were times I was in blackouts, I could not remember what I did or said, and I would people would tell me what I did, and I would be terribly embarrassed, I didn't remember. I had financial problems, I didn't handle money, I didn't have any, social life, well, except, at the bar, and then I developed an ulcer, and the doctor said, "Well, you shouldn't be drinking." and I found out that if you put milk in with scotch, you can drink. So I started learning how to drink scotch and milk so I could get the effect. Yes. Um, it was awful, but I needed it. So that's what addiction is. I needed it, and I couldn't stop once I started. I drank till it was all gone. You know what we call it when somebody's there in the bar and they leave half of a drink and walk away and don't drink it? We call that alcohol abuse. Because I mean, we don't leave a drink. Most of us were alcoholic. And, I mean, I had fun. I knew the bars that had milk or the milk bars that I needed to take my milk to so I could have fun. I mean, the extent I went to, I didn't drink daily, but I got into then, Valium. So Valium helped me get going in the morning. I never threw up. I mean, a lot of alcoholics do, but I never threw up. I had a hollow leg. I could drink and drink and drink and drink, and then I didn't. I would be tired the next day, and I mean, come on, Diane. I was a social worker. And I left that job because my boss called me in one day and he said, "You know, all of your overtime, comp time, you've used all your vacation, everything's gone." I said, "Yeah? Well, it's my time." He says, "Yeah, but it's all Monday mornings." I said, "Oh." So I thought he was gonna fire me, so I quit. So this friend and I interesting. Listen to this. She was lesbian. This friend and I moved to another town. I didn't have a job. Huh. We never acted on it. I just knew that she was lesbian, and I like lesbians, but he didn't know. Well, that was in my drinking.
Was that your first, lesbian friend?
Yeah.
We should find her and see if she knew.
I wonder if I could find her.
How did you end up sobering up?
So, like you said, I was depressed. I could have a history of depression, and this one night, I was staying with friends she had been in the convent, and she let me stay in her basement. She had a husband and, 2 kids, and this night, I was supposed to take care of her daughter, and then she decided, "No, I don't want you taking care of my daughter," so she took her with her, and I felt so bad, and so I went upstairs after they left. I went upstairs with the measuring cup, and I took some whiskey of theirs, and I came back downstairs and drank it, and then and it wasn't enough, and I took some bunch of pills, and then I went upstairs and got more whiskey and just drank it and drank some more pills, and I passed out. And I came to, and I had terrible pain, and I got to the phone, and I called this friend. I called her and I said, "If anything happens to me, would you make sure my bills get paid with my life insurance?" And then I passed out. I couldn't say I overdosed and think I'm dying, but if I die, take care of my So I passed out. They got to my place. They broke down the doors, and, the ambulance got lost getting there, but they did get there, and I got to the hospital. I was in ICU, and the next day, in the middle of the night, I had this terrible pain, and I thought, "Okay, this is it, girl. You did it." And in the morning, the doctor said, "I don't know how you live. I don't know how you're alive." Because what I had done was I'd taken a bunch of aspirin products and whiskey, and I found out years later that if you combine whiskey and aspirin, you're choking. You're choking to death. And I made it. And so that was a wake-up call to me. I decided I wanted to live, and so I was in AA and kept going to AA.
What was it like for you starting to go to AA?
I loved it. Everybody was so friendly. This is in Fargo. It was just a wonderful recovering community there. And I told you I was in treatment. 6 months later, after I sobered up, I started getting depressed again, and I knew I was gonna drink, and so the doctor said, "You need to go to treatment." Now, this is back in '73. Then you could go to treatment without having been drinking. No, you can't. So I went to treatment before I drank. So I was 6 months sober when I went into treatment, but I was such a mess, and then this whole thing with my dad, it came out, and then I was in the psych unit. So I was in treatment for 3 months, and, I've been sober. I've had a lovely sobriety. I love my sobriety.
Do you feel like you then got over your sort of, I don't know if I should call it a fear of intimacy or sort of just like this wall that you had in regards to intimacy? What happened where you end up in a relationship?
So I went to, to school for my master's degree in addiction counseling, and I needed to do an internship. So I did my internship in the treatment center where I had been, and they had an alumni association, really active alumni, people who'd been through treatment, and they'd have meetings and get-togethers and conferences. And the president of the alumni association and I started talking. He came down one weekend and said, "Hey, are you going to go to the AA convention this weekend?" I said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "Let's have a dance." So I think I was feeling, oh, I not think. I was feeling good. I was in a safe place. I was in a treatment program that I loved. I was getting my master's degree, working on my thesis, and so this guy asked me for a dance at a convention. So I did. We danced, and he started romancing me. What is it called? Starts with a C.
Courting you.
Yeah, he started courting me, and he worked in the post office, so he'd send me a card a day and flowers each week, and, well, what can I do?
It felt good?
Yeah, yeah, it felt good. It felt good to have that attention and to be liked and to be cared for and to be and he'd help me with things, like my car was needed some help, and he told me where to go and what to do, and it was nice because I hadn't had a relationship before, so I didn't know what it was like, and it was my first relationship. So it was new, and I liked it.
Is this mid-20s, late 20s?
This was I got married when I was 32, so about 30, 31, and, I thought I loved him. I think I did, and then I wanted a child, and he didn't, and he had been married, and they adopted a boy, and the boy died, and the wife died, and, he was just sad. He didn't wanna have a child, but we went to counseling, and then I did get pregnant and had Sarah, and that was lovely.
So this is the person that courted you is the person that ends up being your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
He was attentive and sweet, and he knew what he wanted, and also was controlling, quite controlling and kind of a narcissist, so and me being such a people pleaser, the I have complex PTSD, and one of the reactions in complex PTSD, there's freeze and flight and fright and fawn. Fawning is what I did, people pleasing, anything to keep the peace. So I was like that, and it wasn't equal marriage. It was him in charge, and kind of like my dad, mm, yeah, controlling like that. And my mom was very passive, depressed. However, I got out of that marriage. I didn't want my daughter growing up like that, and I didn't want to put up with how he was treating me as a less than person. So I had enough ego strength by then to not put up with it. He was a good daddy for her, but I gotta tell you the rest of the story if I could right now. So he was 18 years older than me, and my daughter and her boyfriend wanted to go to South Korea to teach English in 2008. And he was in the nursing home. He had broken his leg, and he was so angry at me about the divorce for all those years and years, just angry at me. And then Sarah said, "I wanna go to South Korea, but who's gonna take care of dad?" Because she would go up, drive 4 hours each month to the nursing home he was at to help with getting money and getting his food and candy, and they had conferences, and so I said, "Oh, I'll do it. I can do it. You guys go." So I did. For a year, I went up to the nursing home, and there was a transformation. He started being nice. He appreciated me coming there. And at the end of his life, I went with Sarah. We spent the last 2 weeks with him. I showed her how to take care of him. I'd been a CNA for a few years, and I showed him how to take care of him in the nursing home. And as he was dying, he just kept saying, "I love you. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you." So we reconciled at the end of his life. It was beautiful. All these wonderful things have happened.
That's incredible.
I know.
And it's all because of you being resilient.
Resilient, yeah. My inner core. Yeah. Thanks.
So what was your life like when you left? Like, was that really hard for Sarah? Were you able to sort of, like, establish a nice life for yourselves?
Yeah, I did. I never said anything negative about her dad. He would say shit about me, but I just let her make up her own mind. And we moved away to Fargo, and I had a nice life. I had a good job. I was a single mom. I started programs. I love starting programs. I started this one day treatment program for people who are homeless and having a hard time with sobriety. I had lovely friends and started working as an alcohol and drug counselor, and one of my coworkers was a lesbian in a relationship, and I met her, partner, and we became friends. We did crafts together, and so they had a group they had a group of lesbians, and they got together and played games and had fun, and I remember after I don't know, about a year or something into it, I said, "Gosh, I wish I was lesbian. I could be come over and have fun with you guys." I had no idea, though, but I was comfortable with them is my point. I wasn't interested in intimacy, in intimate relationships. I had enough joy and, fun and activities. I was in plays a couple times of theater. I loved, concerts, so I had a full life, I thought.
What made you think so confidently that you were straight?
I think it's society, that's the given, I think what is it called that what we have? We absorb.
Compulsive heteronormativity?
Is that I've never heard that term. Heteronormativity?
Compulsive heteronormativity because it's just kind of like what is expected. It's what you
Yes,
see all around you, yeah.
right, and, like, even my friend I mean, this is true, I'm so freaking naive. I didn't know they were lesbian. I didn't know that when I first met them, they were living together, and I didn't so what did you call it?
Compulsive heteronormativity.
Heteronormativity. I thought they were heteros I didn't occur to me. I took in society's norms, is that what it's called, norms? Society's thinking that there's just male and female and I don't understand it all yet. I better get there pretty soon. But before that is when I fell for a guy, and I thought he was straight, but he was living with a guy. I used to clean their house. That's how I met him. That's how I got through grad school, cleaning houses. And, he was my supervisor, and I thought he was not gay, straight. And then when I found that out, I was kind of embarrassed. And there was another guy that I fell for.
I think that's a very common lesbian experience.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah,
because they were so nice, and they were so
yeah.
feeling, and
Mhm. Yeah, any crushes that I had on boys when I was a preteen, teenager, they're all gays now.
oh, for heaven's
Yeah.
sakes.
That happens. You see something in each other or you feel this sort of, like, feminine energy or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have been lesbian. Huh.
I mean, I'm sure you have. Without societal expectations, like, why would you have even had any idea that you were straight if you're not, really experiencing attraction to anyone?
Right.
Yes, online shopping is quite literally at our fingertips, but that doesn't mean it's always simple to buy. Whether it's trying to remember one of a million different logins so you can actually place your order, or getting almost all the way through checkout before realizing your card is nowhere near you, there are many hiccups that can get between you and placing that order. Which is why it's such a relief when you see that purple pay button that has all of your information saved, making checkout as simple as a tap of your screen. That iconic purple Shop Pay button is why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet, meaning less carts going abandoned and more sales going to you. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Thrive Cosmetics, Gymshark, and Allbirds, to brands just getting started. And they're not just great at converting sales. If people haven't heard about your brand yet, Shopify can help you find your customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And they have world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. Tackle all of those important tasks from one place, making your life easier and your business operations smoother. See less carts go abandoned and more sales go with Shopify and their Shop Pay button. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. That's shopify.com/realm.
Kaylee Cuoco and Sam Claflin star in the MGM Plus original series, Vanished. When the man Alice loves disappears on a train to the south of France, every romantic memory becomes evidence. Every intimate detail, a potential threat. She thought she knew everything about him, but she may not even know his real name. New episode Sunday on MGM Plus. Finding the truth is a dangerous affair.
The Regency era. You might know it as the time when Bridgerton takes place, or it's the time when Jane Austen wrote her books. The Regency era was also an explosive time of social change, sex scandals, and maybe the worst king in British history. Vulgar History's new season is all about the Regency era, the balls, the gowns, and all the scandal. Listen to Vulgar History Regency era wherever you get podcasts.
I'm Mandy.
And I'm Melissa, and this is Moms and Mysteries.
We're two Florida moms obsessed with true crime. From infamous cases like Ellen Greenberg to shocking Florida stories like the Dan Markel killing.
With 55 million downloads, we bring you new deep dives every Tuesday and Thursday.
Listen to Moms and Mysteries on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So in 2010, I was in deep therapy 20 years, and I was talking to my therapist about I have a sense, a need to forgive him. And so I developed a ceremony, a forgiveness ceremony for him. And I did the ceremony with my therapist. I wrote out what had happened as succinctly as I could, but not going into all the detail. I wrote out about how it affected me, how I was distraught and terrified, just terrified, and all the times that I was. I wrote it out, and I had a song. I don't know what the song was. There was a song. I had a song that played, and then I declared like a declaration of forgiveness. It wasn't for him, it was for me. I'm letting go of all this tendrils that are in me from you. I'm letting go. And it was not just letting go, but a forgiveness. I don't hold it over you. You owe me nothing. We're done. We're free. There's no attachment. It was pretty long and intense. And after I did the action of forgiving, my whole body just it was like every cell, every atom in my body was a lightning. It was just it lasted about 10 minutes. Just it was like a complete. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but it was a forgiveness from my soul. And I think I came to Earth this time to learn forgiveness and compassion. So I was able to help take care of him his last 5 years of life.
Wow, Diane. That's incredible.
What a gift. I didn't have to die with that. Like the therapist, my psychiatrist, I asked my parents to pay for a therapy because I couldn't afford it. And he was resentful every couple months. Aren't you done yet with therapy? And then I go downhill. And my psychiatrist said in 2 lifetimes he can't repay what he did to you. And I was able to forgive and have compassion and let go of the anger and the resentment and the fear and the terror that was there. It was in my body. Oh my God, maybe that's what I was letting go of, was the terror that had been there since I was a child. I almost died twice at his hands. I was going to the light twice. I couldn't breathe twice. And I was just terrified, my whole body. Maybe that's what I was releasing. I just had that insight.
This was when you were a kid? That happened?
Oh yeah, when I was under 5.
Mm. I'm sure that that's at least part of what was being
Yeah,
released from your body,
yeah, all the
all
terror.
of this negative energy in all of these different forms.
Yeah, thank you. This has been healing for me already.
Good, I'm glad that it can be healing and not just re-traumatizing, because that would not be
No, no.
the point of this. When is it that you're taking care of your dad?
2011.
Okay, that's so recent.
Yeah, he died in 2015. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I was out there how visiting them. There were years that I would try and not have any relationship with them, just be estranged from them. And then I go back and try and have that's a trauma response. Go back and try and have a relationship, and it didn't work out, so I go into a funk. And in 2011, I was out there with my friend that took me to Punta Cana. She was from the same town, and they were my second family. So when I go for holidays, I go to their house and then sometimes try and go see my folks. So this time, Easter 2011, I went to see them, and dad became violent with mom. And so I quickly got him into a nursing home. I got her to the hospital. My brother and I then decided to get along so we could take care of them. And I was able to make sure he got taken care of from then until he died in 2015. He had Alzheimer's and heart disease and diabetes and untreated pedophile.
So it wasn't like you weren't living with him, you were sort of tending.
No. Yes, I was not living with them. I lived for 7 hours away, but I would go down and to where they lived and help take care of him, make sure he was okay and mom okay. Yeah.
And that was comfortable for you. You were able to do that.
I was able because I had forgiven
Mhm.
and compassion came into my heart. Same with my mom.
So how did you start to explore an attraction with another woman?
Oh. So, 2 years ago, July of 23, I was on a Zoom meeting, and there was other people on the Zoom meeting, and this one person we started talking off the Zoom meeting. She had some ideas for me for the purpose of the meeting. It was a self-help support group. And so she had ideas of what could be helpful for me in this program. And so we started talking and chatting and back and forth. And then I started sharing some things about my life, and she did about her life. And she just, when I started sharing about the abuse, the abuse, she just cried, and she was so compassionate and so caring. And it just touched my heart about how she was, and we just kept talking, and then in August, she started saying how she was sexually attracted. I said, What do you mean?" I knew she was lesbian, and so when she started being attractive to me, I thought, "Well, why?" I was surprised, and then I started having feelings. That was new. I started having feelings, and we started talking more away from the Zoom meeting. Actually, we talked daily. We would write poetry to each other. Oh my god, they were really, some of them passionate and some kind of sexy, and, and just so dear, just loving, and I just fell in love. I know what that feels like, to fall in love. It was deep, and it was sweet, and it was real and reciprocated. I just felt special to her, and she was special to me. She also had experienced abuse and was in recovery from that, and we were both on the same page. We understood and had such deep compassion for each other and our journey
Where was she living?
in Pacific Northwest, and I'm in Minnesota.
So this is all happening, like, over email and phone, basically?
Yeah, and FaceTime. FaceTime. Mhm. We did FaceTime. Yeah, we did that too, and, We had 5 visits. So she came to, visit me for Thanksgiving,
Was that the
and
first time that you met in person?
uh-huh, uh-huh,
So what did you I mean, that here's the thing, is that people all the time think they're in love virtually, and they
mhm.
get in person and they're dead wrong. Were you worried about that?
I wasn't, and so she came here, and so I was in Chicago, she came to Chicago. And she told me later that she was thinking, "What am I doing? I'm 65 and I'm going to see this older woman. She could just be a fake. She could just be all kinds of crazy. What am I doing?" And I had not a thought about that. I thought, "Oh, this is exciting. Oh, I can't wait." I didn't think anything of negativity. So I went to the airport and I got out of my car to pick her up and we looked at each other. And then we got into the car and then we looked at each other. We couldn't stand it. So we got this big hug and a kiss, and I said, "I kissed a woman." And she said, "How was it?" I said, wonderful."
Ah, that's a dream. They should make a movie about your life, Diane.
Oh my god, it was so wonderful. So I quickly, you know, got the car in gear, and we came to my place, and we were gonna unpack stuff and, put things away, and then, mm, it wasn't important to put things
Too
away.
much to do. Too much lost time.
Too much. So we just went to bed. I had never, like, it was lovely.
Had you done a lot of, like, sort of sexy talk in a way where you kind of,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
felt like you had an idea of what sex with a woman was gonna look like?
Well, I didn't know what sex would look like, but I know what the feelings were.
But it sort of came naturally because of all of the
It
feelings you're
did. It came naturally, and she was so careful with me and so, concerned for me to have a good experience. So I did.
that's amazing. What else should we know about that time, about this sort of whirlwind romance?
This is whirlwinds, yes, it was, and that was in November, and then March, November, December, January, February. January, I went out to her place, and again, she picked me up, and we went to her little place and made love and talked, and she took me around to, the mountains, and it's a beautiful place where she lives, but we spent most of the time in the apartment, and, so that was January, February, March, so we saw each other 5 times that first year. We went back and forth, and, it was wonderful each time. We did have some bumps where we had some disagreements. And at one point, I said, "I need to take a little break here." And she didn't like that, but we did, and then we couldn't stand it not talking because we had been talking every day and on FaceTime and texting. It was, like, hot and heavy pretty quickly, and I guess that's pretty typical. Something about a U-Haul and the lesbians.
So in this time, like, how open are you being with the people in your life about what's going on? Did you have these, like, coming out moments with the people close to you?
So, when I came out to my brother, he said, "Oh, yeah, good, good, okay." No big deal. And, I made a mistake with my daughter, and I've since apologized. So when I was telling her this person was coming for Thanksgiving, I said, I've met this woman, and I've known her for several months, and I love her. I deeply love her. I haven't loved anyone like this before." I said, "Not even your dad." And that cut. And that set the stage for her non-acceptance of this woman, and, I did apologize to her later. I said, I did love your dad, and you were born in love, and we've loved you. I just have not had this experience like I'm having with her." And, so it was a little rocky. My son-in-law accepted it. He said, "Oh, okay." So that was okay, but it was a source of contention with her, and we're in a good relationship. I think by my apologizing and, well, and we're not together, so maybe that's helping my daughter. I don't know.
I feel like I've said this to you before that, like, I mean, it's understandable that your daughter is a person and would have complicated feelings about her parents' relationship, but how far are we out of your separation? Like, you're both adults. She's very much an adult.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
I don't feel like you did anything wrong by not realizing that you couldn't be fully transparent with your daughter about that. And I don't
Mm.
think
Mhm.
she's doing anything wrong by having feelings about it, but also it makes perfect sense to me that you would think at this point in your lives that you could and should share that with your daughter who loves you so much and wants you to be happy, right? Like
Yeah.
I just don't
Mm.
I hope that you don't continue to feel like you wronged her by doing that.
I appreciate your viewpoint, and it was very helpful to me to hear that from you. Thank you.
Okay, good. So obviously things didn't work out with this woman. What is it that you are comfortable saying about sort of like the end of that relationship?
She had issues that she acknowledged need to be worked on, and I did too. I talked about how I am working on not being people pleaser and setting boundaries, so that I need to do that. And I was working on that with her and doing pretty good sometimes. Her issues were deeper and she needed more help with it. And it her issues were interfering in our relationship. It wasn't able to move forward. And so it was both of us. I claim my part and I continue to work on my um, fawning response. And um, we're not in contact any longer. So
Obviously, I know that that was like a really low point for you when it didn't work
it
out.
was a low point, and I started grieving, just grieving, deeply grieving and crying, and it was hard for both of us, I think, and it was necessary. Um, I still sometimes have wished she could be here to hold me and comfort me. I miss that. I know that it's not meant to be right now. It's not possible as of what's going on with both of us.
Mhm. It's so recent also, like, this isn't, it's less than a year out.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, the final email was September.
Yeah,
September 22nd, she sent a brutal email, and that was my wedding anniversary.
but then what happened?
Then in October, my friend from Fargo, my lesbian friend, and her wife and her sister, and another friend, the two sisters had grandparents who bought land in western North Dakota years ago in the 50s, and then oil was discovered on it. So they got a big check last year. And then, what are we going to do with this money? What are we going to do with all this money? Both of them got a big check. So they said, hey, let's go to Dominican Republic, an Olivia trip, and let's take Diane with us. And so they took me along to Punta Cana, and it was so fun. I'm the extrovert. All four of them are introverts. And so they hung out together and did things together off over here by there. And I was running around.
Making new
I was so,
friends, making big
yeah.
impressions. That is just the best way to get over a lesbian breakup. Like, obviously, it's so expensive, but, like, they're geniuses for that, basically. It's just exactly what a person needs.
It was, and they knew how this person had treated me. So, and I read the email to them, and they were just pissed about it, about how she treated me. So they just said, "Let's go." And I was the only one who went to the Lily meeting, later in life lesbian meeting. And there was about 25 sitting there, and I was almost the last one to talk. And as I listened to people, I was kinda giggling to myself because here were these women saying I was 30 or I was 40 when I came out, and I thought, "Well, I was 77." I thought this was later in life. It just was cute to me. And then when it was over, after I shared my part, we broke up. It was a lovely meeting. It was so cool to connect with these other women who had stories similar to mine, but I was a little late. And you came up to me afterward and you said, I wanna do a video of you. And I said, What? What? Why? And so you talked to me some more. And well, I think we had an instant connect, and my daughter's name is Sarah.
And my mom's name is Diane, which I didn't even put together at first. You were just like, "My daughter's name is Sarah," and I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And then it was like days later that I was like, "Wait, my mom's name is Diane."
I tell you, it was meant to be, Sarah.
I feel like I should clear the record, which is that I didn't come up to you right away and try to work with you because I wasn't really sure. Your story is so intimate. There's just so much to it, and it's so personal, and you're sort of in the beginning stages of really coming out to the world. And so I remember just being like, your story was amazing. Do you want to get lunch? I want to get to know you more.
Yes.
But I had immediately went up to the woman that had facilitated the meeting that works for Olivia, and I was like, that woman, Diane, that shared, like, we need to get her a free trip. How can I get her a free trip?
You
And
did?
oh, I didn't realize I hadn't told you that. Oh, yeah. I can't believe I never told you that. I went up to the woman that
Yeah.
was facilitating right after, and she said, "Totally. Why don't you first?" I think maybe the first step would be to go to guest services and tell them that this is happening and see what they say. And then I was like, okay, I also need to like connect with this person. So then we like made lunch plans, and Jasmine, my partner, and I went right to guest services from there. And we, like, explained the whole thing, and the woman that was there was like, "Oh, that's so sweet, like, no, we don't do that, like, we can't do that." And I was, like, all, like, grumbling to myself. I was like, "Fine, like, I'm gonna do it myself then, that's fine, I'll get her a free trip." And then we'll get to what really happened with all of that. But I had it in my heart that I was gonna figure out a way to make that happen from the time that we met.
Cool.
I really like I was saying, I was worried that it would be too soon and too personal for you to be sharing your story in a public platform. And in a way, it did end up being overwhelming for you because it went extremely viral. Like, if it had just been a normal video, it would have not like been that overwhelming. You just would have been like, "Oh, a couple people said nice things," but like 4 million people saw the video. But I talked to you about it, and you were super open to making a video, and we just sat by the pool and we talked about your story for a few minutes, and I was like, I'll figure out what to cut from it later. And obviously you're so charming that there was so much good content there. Then after the trip, I made a video out of that interview of Diane sort of talking about being a late in life lesbian and how after experiencing your first lesbian heartbreak, your friends bringing you on this trip, and it just like popped off. Everyone just loves you, as I knew they would. And people were asking in the comments, how can we send her money so that she can go on another trip? So presuming that people don't know the full story, like, what was that like for you?
Okay. That was amazing. That was overwhelming. It was beautiful. The comments were just so loving. There was hundreds of comments and so kind. And then people started sending me money. I just got some today.
What?
No. And I answer each person and then I say thank you for um donating to my next Olivia experience. But their comments are just so loving, and and every time I read them, they're just, they touch my heart and my soul. The people are so because they've been through so much, I suppose because they've been through so much, everybody who's kind to me either needed someone to be kind to them or has had people kind to them, and they know what it feels like. And, people just saying fun things like, "Oh, you're so cute," and
Yeah, they think you're so adorable. There's one that's like, "It's like she's a girl, but she's a woman, but but
yes, I
she's"
know, yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, the commenting on how your youthful spirit, and then there's like 1,000 likes on it.
Yes,
And then
yes.
and you're in there commenting on every single one that you
Mhm.
can, being like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I think
Yeah.
the thing that, like, you can feel so alone in your sexuality, like, the amount of people that I've spoken to that because of compulsive heteronormativity, because of the way that we like get isolated, they feel like they're the only person that's experiencing whatever their sort of like hardship is. It can feel so isolating to be a gay person, but in reality, if you know where to go, the gay community is so big and so warm, and everyone knows what that feels like and wants to
Mhm.
help mitigate that for the people that are still going through it. And so, yeah, I'm just glad that we helped you
You did.
so you could see.
Yes. On Facebook, there's a Lily's Facebook page. They're being very vulnerable, and I'm learning a lot. I'm really glad for that Lily's, Facebook page.
So tell me more about the reception of the video. And we started posting your Venmo, and then what happened?
Oh my god, it exploded. Exploded. All these wonderful people, just so sweet. There was people who donated money, and some a lot of money, and some what they could, and it's so humbling, it's so touching. It touches my heart that someone would not give me money for a trip. And because I don't have a lot of money, so I don't give a lot, I give to my, 12-step group, and I give to my church some, but not a lot. Not like when I used to work. But here we are in 2026 now, and people sending money to a stranger, a complete stranger. However, we've got something in common, and they must know what it's like. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so kind and generous. And it just touches my soul. I cry. I cry when I get Venmo money, and when people say such sweet things. At this age, who knew I could be so excited? Yeah, I feel like a teenager at times. Well, I certainly did with my partner there for a while. I was like a teenager.
So what are we up to now for the Venmo funds?
34.
That's crazy. So that is Olivia trips are pretty pricey, and that is definitely enough to go on.
That's
That's
enough for
so
a trip.
crazy. We've
Ah,
talked about this
okay.
before, I'm not gonna feign shock this time, but
Yes,
if anyone listening has been part of that, it's
I am
just
so grateful. You know that I am. Everybody who sends me money, I bless you and send hearts back to you, and, and I have your names.
that sounds a little bit like a threat, but
Not a threat. It's, acknowledgement.
mhm. So, when I posted the video, I was hoping that one of two things would happen. One, that it would open up a door to crowdfund a trip for you, whether it was with Venmo or GoFundMe or
Mhm.
whatever, or that it would get so much attention and people would maybe be commenting like at Olivia, get her free trip or something like that, that then Olivia would give you a free trip. And so what I didn't anticipate was that both would happen and we would get you 2 free trips. So what happened with Olivia?
With Olivia, I got a call from, one of the higher ups in Olivia, and she said, "We want to give you an Alaska cruise free." I said, "What? What?" She said, "Yes, we do." And I said, "Well, I was on the Punta Cana resort, and I loved the Lily experience, and I'd be willing to facilitate. That's one of my strengths is facilitate group facilitation. So I'd love to facilitate a Lily's session." So she liked that, and she told me what I needed to do to sign up, and I've got all signed up now.
It's so exciting. All of this attention is coming your way in regards to your sexuality and your story. What has that been like with your daughter and for your relationship with your daughter?
I think that she's a really smart person, and she's got a good head on her shoulders. She apologized That was a couple of weeks ago. I apologized to her again, and then she shared that she was sorry about how she reacted. And it's okay. It's okay, Mom.
Thanks for listening to Cruising. If you liked this episode, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It really helps others discover our podcast. Cruising is produced by a small but mighty team of 3 queer women, Rachel Karp, Jen McGinnity, and me, your host and editor, Sarah Gabrielli. Our theme song is by Joey Freeman. You can support us at buymeacoffee.com/cruisingpod. Follow us on social media at cruisingpod, on Substack, cruisingpod.substack.com, and at our website, www.cruisingpod.com.
Oh, please, not that music. That music gives me nightmares from my childhood.
Could we get something a little bit lighter, some lighter music here?
Are you a fan of true crime TV shows?
And what about Unsolved Mysteries, the show that jump-started all of our love of true crime?
I'm Ellen Marsh.
And I'm Joey Taranto.
And we host I Think Not, a true crime comedy podcast covering some of the wildest stories from your favorite true crime campy TV shows all the way to Unsolved Mysteries.
Baby, you will laugh, you will cry, you'll think about true crime in a whole new way, and you'll also ask yourself, who gave these people mics?
New episodes of I Think Not are released every Wednesday, with bonus episodes out every Thursday on Patreon.
And every Monday, you can listen to our True Crime Rundown, where we go over the top true crime headlines of the week.
So come and join us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Look, we all know there are a lot of celebrity interview podcasts out there, but there's only one: Happy, Sad, Confused. I'm Josh Horowitz, and yeah, I'm the host of the show, so I'm a little biased, but truly Happy, Sad, Confused is the place for nerdy and intimate conversations with all your favorite actors and filmmakers. From Andrew Garfield and Scarlett Johansson to Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino. For over 10 years and over 700 episodes, Happy, Sad, Confused has broken movie and TV news every single week. That's because I ask all the questions I want to know, and more importantly, you want to know. Casting what-ifs, backstage stories, acting pet peeves, and much more. So whether you're into superheroes, prestige TV, or just the coolest actors and directors alive, you're going to learn something in every episode. Listen to Happy, Sad, Confused on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.